Hello everyone, this is Mr. Mark with the Tawny Town Library, here with another cooking video for you, and this week, in the spirit of the season, I'm going to be making deviled eggs. Although they're not called deviled because they're particularly evil, turns out that actually just used to be an old term for spicy or spiced, and including mustard and paprika was enough to classify them as deviled. And all we're going to need today are some eggs and then some mayonnaise and mustard to mix the yolks with, and some salt and pepper to mix in there. And the special ingredient we like to use in our house is just a splash of pickle juice. You don't even need the pickles, just the pickle juice will add a really sweet taste to it. And then some paprika to sprinkle over when you're done. And that's all you're going to need. So let's get started. And of course, the first thing we're going to be doing is boiling the eggs. And I'm just going to be doing 6 eggs today. I'm going to grab a pot and cover them with water. You want about an inch to spare above it. And then I'm going to be heating it up until it reaches a boil. So let's just skip ahead to when it's boiling. And we have an excellent boil going, so I'm going to cover it up at this point and turn the heat off. And I'm going to let it just sit like this for 10 to 12 minutes, depending on how well you want your yolks to be cooked. I prefer a little bit more done, so I'm going to be giving it a full 12 minutes. And then let's just skip ahead to when that's done. And I have a bowl here full of ice cold water. You want it to be really cold. And we're going to be dropping the eggs in here to cool down. And we want to give it probably 15 to 20 minutes. You want the eggs to be completely cool. As you can see, I've emptied out the water. And now we have 6 hard-boiled eggs. And our next step is going to be peeling them, and I'm just going to warn you, I'm not particularly good at peeling eggs. You're going to see that I pull away some of the egg when I'm taking the shell off, and it's only on the last couple that I even remember you're supposed to run them underwater before you peel them, because it helps pull the shell away easier. But fortunately, deviled eggs are very forgiving. It doesn't even really matter what the outside of the eggs look like. You make the delicious part from the yolk, and all the ugliness is going to be face down where no one can see it. But let's just zoom through all this and get to the end. And our 6 eggs are peeled, and we're going to be cutting them lengthwise next. And you want to get the sharpest, thinnest knife you can get. The sharper and thinner it is, the better. And just cut right along the length. And then I'm gonna grab a spoon and get the yolk out of there and put that in a bowl over to the side. And we're gonna be setting the eggs on our little platter we'll be serving them on. And I'm just gonna do this for all the eggs, so I'm going to speed through this as well. You can see I underestimated how much space I would need, so I had to grab a slightly larger platter. But let's set the egg whites aside and get to making our filling. And the first step here is to grab a fork and just smash all the egg yolks up. Get that nicely ground down to a mush. So you can see we have our egg yolks smashed up, and now we're going to be adding in some mayonnaise. And you want to add in 3 to 4 tablespoons of mayonnaise for 6 eggs. 4 tablespoons is half a cup, so you can see I grabbed a half cup measure and I'm not quite filling it up. And you do want to err on the side of putting too little mayonnaise in, because it's a lot easier to add in more mayonnaise if your mixture isn't quite creamy enough than to hard boil more eggs and add more egg yolks. Then we're going to be doing a teaspoon of mustard. Just toss that in there. And that pickle juice I mentioned earlier, no pickles, just the pickle juice from the jar. We're going to throw just a splash of that in there, about a teaspoon's worth. And then I'm just going to be mixing in some salt and pepper. Not measuring it out, just tossing what I think is a good amount in. Like I said, a very forgiving recipe. And now we're going to be mixing it up. And I'm going to start it out with a little spoon here, but I will soon be moving on to actually whisking it because I want to make sure it's really well mixed. And let's just speed through all this mixing. And there we go. We have our deviled egg filling ready. Now, you can, if you want, just spoon it out of the bowl into the deviled eggs, but it looks cooler if you use a sandwich bag to squeeze it in. So I'm going to go grab just a regular old sandwich bag and put all of the filling in there. Then I'm going to close the top off and cut one of the corners of the bag out. With that cut out, now we can just squeeze our deviled egg filling into each one of these eggs. And if you have a cake decorating kit at home, you can use an official bag, but there's no need to break all that out. You can just use a sandwich bag, but that does have the advantage having those cool nozzles, so you can do neat little shapes with the deviled eggs. You can see I'm just making smooshes here, just making sure I get all of that filling out. You don't want to leave any not used. And once our eggs are ready, we just need to grab our paprika, sprinkle it on, and we have a dozen deviled eggs ready to go. These are so delicious. I always thought they were just an extra special treat when I was a kid, and I was shocked to learn at how easy they actually are to make. So give them a try yourself, and we'll see you next week.